Let's turn our focus now to Joburg, where the Joburg Mayor, Morero, is set to give an update on the water supply challenges that the city faces. That briefing has just started. Let's take you there.
To day zero, but yes, for people that have not had water at all, logically it would mean they've been at day zero. So we need to make sure that we look at those areas, sort those areas that have been adversely affected, ensure that we can pick up. And I think the weather is not also insisting in terms of the heat wave, and people are consuming more water. So we need to ensure that we pick up MD and the team. We have also taken a decision this morning that we will be visiting all the depots, meeting with the actual engineers on the grounds, technicians on the ground, to understand what the gravity of the challenges that we have, so that we can resolve this thing. But we are also saying to our communities, especially in the townships, in areas like Alexander, Soweto, Orange Farm, they continue to build illegal structures that are not approved, and some of the structures are built right on top of the infrastructure, and we're unable to access some of the valves that we need to access to ensure that there's a continuous free flow of water in those areas. So that is part of what we are doing in this campaign as I engage with communities. We have engaged with stakeholders in the Parkmore, Parkhurst areas last week to engage with them on what is happening. So I had very successful engagements with ratepayers associations last week, Thursday. I was in Soweto on Wednesday. We are continuing with stakeholder engagement. And there's also closed meetings with stakeholders where we actually give them all the facts of what is happening, what budgets are we putting in place, what are the future plans that we will be doing, and we'll probably plan a further media engagement just on the future plans of what we're investing and what we are doing to resolve the water issues in Johannesburg for the longest of time. So, Peggy, you'd find that the system is not supplied from the same system. So you may be in Chawela, but your area might be probably supplied from a commando system or some system, and the other people are supported from a particular system. So that is why you'll find that you're in the same ward, others have water, others don't have water. It's an infrastructure issue on where are you supplied from. But he will know the real technical issues, what supplies Chawela. Well, the minister can wash her hands. I don't know if she did say that. To try and explain it in Xhosa. But the minister has been hands-on in the Joburg issues. This morning at 6:30, I was in the meeting with the minister, putting the necessary support to ensure that Joburg does not experience water challenges. She's now boarding a flight. She's hopeful to get a flight at around 2. She wants to be here as I engage with community meetings this afternoon. So from the ministers and the deputy minister, they've been hands-on, giving us all the necessary support in Joburg. So, and as Babegatin, but I guess Ibesho Enyinto, because she's really hands-on in Joburg. And not only in Joburg, in the Gauteng. In fact, the government of the province, the MEC for Kokta, on a weekly basis, we've got war room meetings with the MEC. Randwater attends, ourselves and all other municipalities, so that we can crack the problem, have solutions, and sustain the solutions that we have had. We are not communicating sufficiently. The media people have been saying it, communities have been saying that our communication is not sufficient. Yes, it is there, but it's not sufficient. So must improve. Perhaps you'll give me ideas as media people on how to better the communication. But we are trying through these press conferences, media releases, stakeholder engagements, and public meetings. But I'll welcome and advice from experts, Alex, on how we can improve on the communication. Disaster, I don't think we've reached that stage. The concerns is to ensure that we pick up all areas ensure that we've got sufficient storage, fix Hestil 1 and Hestil 2, which we are currently fixing so that we can have the capacity to pump enough water. Ensure that President Park goes under refurbished developments that have happened, which are residential and commercial in Midrand. They've moved much faster than our infrastructure. So we're improving with 4 reservoirs and 3 towers. 1 tower is almost complete, is at commissioning, so we should be able to bring it on board to assist with the water supply. We're also relooking at the size of our reservoirs. As you know that some of the reservoirs are basically your 7 megaliters. We need to broaden in the new that we build much bigger reservoirs to be able to sustain and maintain water storage in our area. The other issues, may I request that the MMC and the CEO, which are more technical, that they can respond.
No, sorry, Mayor. I asked you, so residents were protesting today. What do you want them to take out of today's engagement?
What the residents should see today, should see us saying, in your area, this is the percentage where we are, this is where the teams are pushing, so that you can get to the level where it's 60%. But he will respond directly, especially where, I think it's Malville, where there's a protest. Where are we now to ensure that they've got water? He will give a more technical response. Bloomberg asked on the funding. It's a bigger issue. We are working very hard to ring-fence one through the National Treasury reforms, and there's also a benefit depending on the work that we do, that we will receive a particular grant from National Treasury which will help us to invest into the infrastructure. Ourselves as the city, we are also raising capital. We have raised about 500 from financing institutions to finance the refurbishment of reservoirs, about 500 million. So we continue to look at other models on how best we can raise money. And I think with National Treasury reforms, they will then help us to ring-fence a particular revenue into the water business and ring-fence that for the infrastructure. In this year's budget, we are currently sitting at about 1.7 billion. We hope that we will increase into the new financial year, and the bulk of it will then be targeted at ensuring that we can invest into our water business. Our backlog is too huge, 27 billion, so we need to confront that challenge with energy and preparedness to resolve the water challenge in Joburg. Can I ask the MMC and the MD to take the other questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much, EM, and to the colleagues from the various media houses. Let me start by expanding on the question that was asked by Paddy, which the mayor have responded on it, around that why you'll find that we are in the same locality. Part of that area is having water, part doesn't have. Of course, the mayor have indicated that you'll find that in that area you are getting water from 2 different sources, in other words, 2 different systems. I want to also bring to your attention that it will sometimes happen that we are even on one system, but you're not getting water, all of you. The reason being also, we've been embarking on a process of really managing demand for Johannesburg. When the mayor indicated that historically our demand was at about 1,800, you'll recall about just over a year back, we were able to reduce it to 1,700. So what have we done? Of course, above the measure that we do some of them around closing and so on, we've been embarking on the process of pressure management. And what does it do? We reduce pressure in the specific zone where we know that pressure is high, we have high losses, and so on. And of course, when we reduce pressure, there'll be less flow coming in. And we've been communicating to say that part of the solution from the technical point of view, pressure management is a quick win that needs to be, we need to carry on with it. But the issue is that as we implement that, we also need residents within that also assist us, because when you reduce pressure, less flow, residents in that area will need to assist us by reducing demand. Because if you maintain demand at the same area where it was historically, certainly the system is not going to balance. There will be few people that will struggle, especially high-lying area. So the concept of reducing pressure in this various system which we are working on, it also needs to be supported by the residents within that particular area. And that's where now the issue of water conservation comes in, where we appeal to the resident. And I must say up front, when we appeal to the residents, of course our message is directed mainly to those areas where we are supplying water right now. As much as the area that we are struggling, the bigger part of the city we are supplying water. When we say residents must assist us by conserving water, it will help us to be able to stabilize the overall system, and even those that are not getting water, then they'll be able to get. So I'm saying this because sometimes residents think that when we talk about conserving, we are targeting those residents that are struggling to get water, and we end up getting negative feedback. Our message really is targeting to those that are getting water. So on the issue around our infrastructure, indeed, our infrastructure is also contributing. We're not running away from that. And hence, the mayor indicated also that we have work to do on our infrastructure. And it is for that reason that the council in July 2024 approved a turnaround strategy to improve the investment in water infrastructure over the 10-year period. We are in year one of that investment, and we have seen results, of course, from the investment allocation within the city, whereby if you look at the water in the current year, there's a significant investment going to water infrastructure than previously. So it is part of the journey that we want to stabilize the water infrastructure, where we'll be investing about 32 billion over the next 10 years. Part of that will be going to pipe replacement, because our pipe network is contributing to the problem. Hence, we need to be able to make sure that we are replacing pipes at the faster rate. And it is part of the measure work that will happen within the first few years of this strategy. My colleague Nico will deal with the issue of the water tanker. On the issue relating to a question relating to this specific area, there was a question talking about why are we not hearing what is happening in relation to Cell B, in relation to commando system, and so on. Indeed, there's specific work that we are doing. And I'm going to start by responding to the question for commando system. Commando system, indeed, it's an area that, a system that really we've been struggling with it for many years. And it's for that reason why, where we are, there's a reservoir going up on the tower. And a few kilometers from here, there's a pump station that's going up. Again, few kilometers from here, there's a pipeline, almost 5 kilometers, new pipe backline, coming into the area. And all this work that we've been doing for the last 2 years or so, we are starting slowly to see them coming on stream. As the mayor indicated, both tower and the reservoir, they are going to be commissioned fully by end of this year. We are currently in the testing and commissioning. We've started using it, but fully to make sure that we hand over to our operation is going to happen by end of this month. And this will help us to stabilize this system. What other things that we've been doing in the up to now, these are really interim measures just to try to make sure that we get water to the community. But this investment that's going in here, or the infrastructure that we are doing, it is what's going to give us a sustainable solution. And we are on track. Of course, other projects relating to commando system, like the pump station, like the bulk line, will be completing them towards the end of the year. But of course, we'll be getting benefit already from end of this month from those work that or part of the projects that are going to be completed. On the Cell B really is part of our inner city system. This is our hectare lorries system. We have a pipeline there that we are replacing about 200 meters. Of course, our team have tried to fix that pipeline end of last year, number of times, and we can't be able to get it right anymore. The pipeline is very bad. The only solution is for us to replace the section of 200 meters. And we have contractors already that are on the ground that are busy replacing that, and it's the work that's going to be finished before end of March so that we can be able to stabilize the supply in that particular area. Another issue, of course, around why there was a question to say why the system is struggling. There are a number of issues really that contributes. You've heard us talking about demand. That, of course, when we talk about demand, we're talking about the overall demand across the city. As the mayor indicated, what we are consuming now is about 1,700 megaliters, which the system from our bulk supply cannot be able to supply us at that rate. We need to reduce that demand down to about 1,550. That's issue number one, because what happens is that whenever, say for instance, there is a technical issue in the system, you'll find that the system takes very long time to recover. This is what we are seeing after the incident that happened, which the mayor, some of them referred to them end of January or so. Because the system is operating as a stretch level, it takes time to recover simply because the demand or the utilization is at a rate which is much higher than what the system is able to provide. So we need to be making sure that on our side we deal with the infrastructure issue that contribute to the issue of the losses, and at the same time we appeal to the residents. So I will ask Nico to deal with the a question for water tanker, but it'll also deal with specific work that we are doing in Hestel 2, which is really dealing with the communities around Melville and so on, because there's work that we are doing in that area.
Good morning.
We apologize for the breaking transmission there, but we just heard from the various Joburg water officials led by the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, taking the time this hour to address the ongoing water supply challenges facing the city. In a nutshell, highlighting both infrastructure issues and the impact of unapproved construction that is currently happening in some areas. And according to the mayor, illegal structures in areas like Alexandra, in areas like Soweto and Orange Farm are sometimes built directly over critical water infrastructure. And what we heard there is that this then makes it difficult to access valves and maintain a continuous water flow. You heard there also from the mayor say that the city is actively engaging communities and stakeholders, and this would be to resolve these challenges, including meetings with ratepayers associations at this hour. And what he said is that around areas such as Parkmore and Parkhurst last week, this is where they had all these meetings as well as the stakeholder engagements. But the message is clear that restoring water remains a priority at this moment, but says it requires cooperation from residents, and this would be to protect and maintain access to the city's water network.